Hi, this is Tim Yoder with Fit Small Business. Today I'll be evaluating Sage 50 accounting software for the Fit Small Business case study. Chapter 2 is accounts payable. So our first task is to enter a utility bill to New York City Electric. Let's go to our vendors and purchases. This gives us a nice little workflow. We want to record the utility bill, but we're not actually going to pay it yet. Okay, so we want to enter bills, and we're going to enter a new bill. Okay, now for the vendor, we'll probably have to create a new one. Yeah, I don't like this. This is going to make us use vendor codes. Let's start this over here. Okay, enter bills, new bill. Okay, let's add a new vendor. So we have to give it a vendor ID number. Okay, let's see what they require. Okay, so the vendor ID can have up to 20 characters. Okay, so we can probably just put the whole name for most things. So we're going to call this New York City Electric Company. Okay, and we'll just copy that for the name. So it does require a separate name from the vendor ID, but for short names up to 20 characters, we can just use the same thing. Okay, so here we could fill in all the other information, but we don't need to do that for this case study. Let's hit save. A valid account must be selected. Okay, so expense account. This is the GL account that is used to record the purchase of an item or service from this vendor that isn't maintained in inventory. Okay. Okay, so I'm assuming you can change this if you need to be, but I'm thinking this is just the default account, so we'll put the default account as some sort of utilities. Guess they don't have a utilities account. Guess let's create a utilities account. So new account ID. Let's see. Expenses are probably 5,000. So we'll do and then for their department codes, if you saw chapter 1's video, this is how you keep track of departments or classes, are these last two digits. We're just going to stick it to 00, whatever department they have that set up as. Okay. Okay. Okay, so that set it up as a utility expense. Okay. Now we should be able to select it here. And there it is. Okay. So now let's try to save it. Okay, so now we can enter our vendor, New York City Electric Company. Okay. Invoice date looks like it's doing everything automatically in June of 2018. That's fine. Okay, where do we record the expense here? So we don't have a purchase order. brought us to the vendor ledger. Yeah, I think we're in the wrong place here. This says purchases, receive inventory. So let's close this. Go to new bills. Okay, so New York City Electric. Okay, so GL account. Okay, so that's bringing up our utilities expense there. Utilities, okay. Maybe I just put it in here of $150. Do I have to put the unit price? So I can't just enter the amount there, right? Okay, so we're going to have to enter a quantity. Yeah, this is a very non-user friendly screen here. You must enter an invoice number. Okay, so this would be the invoice off of whatever New York City Electric gave you. Okay. Okay, there we go. So that entered the bill from New York City Electric. Okay, so back here, can we view that bill anywhere? What about over here? Can we, if we go down to New York City Electric? Not that I see. If we go to pay bills, view and edit paid bills. No. Can we view and edit bills? Okay, so it shows us our bill from New York Electric Company. Okay, I want to open that back up. Now I want to know if there's any way to attach a receipt. So sure, there's an attach button here, and we're able to attach a receipt. Okay, good. So let me score it in the rubric here. So creating a vendor, nothing I've done in this program so far is easy, but we can create a vendor. We've recorded the expense without paying it. What about a due date? Yeah, so right here we can specify a due date. It specifies that it's the same day it's been created, but you can specify the due date. You can attach a copy of the receipt. Good. Okay. Is there any way to make this expense recurring? So it looks like you could actually customize the way this screen looks if you don't like the way it looks. Okay, looks like that's just documenting interactions with your vendor. Okay, let me do a little research. So to create a recurring transaction, all we have to do is go up here to the copy button and select the drop down menu, and then we can hit create recurring, and then we can set up however often we want it to recur, when we want it to end, so forth. So yes, we can, in here we can create whether it's a monthly. Good. Okay, so we can set up recurring expenses there. Very good. Again, not hard to do once you know where to look for it. It's just not obvious where to look for it. Okay, so let's look at inventory a little bit. Let's see if we can set up an inventory item called plumbing widgets. So let's get out of our bills. And let's go into our inventory. So let's create an inventory item called plumbing widgets. We're just going to call it a stock item, something we keep in stock. Okay. So looks like gives us, oh yeah, stock item. Okay. Um, nice. So a description for the sale of the item. I'm just going to say plumbing widgets. Okay. Can we set a separate one for purchases? Yeah. So now we have one description for sales, one descriptions for purchases. The price level. So this is going to be the price that we charge our customers. Looks like you can have different price levels apparently, so you could charge different customers different amounts. We want to charge our customers $25 for a plumbing widget. Generally, they're only going to cost us $10. Um, wow, you can use FIFO, LIFO, average, or specific unit. That is very unique. Um, QuickBooks does not allow you to do that. I think QuickBooks Desktop uses average cost. QuickBooks Online Plus, which is the only one that does inventory, that in advance, they make you use FIFO. Here we can use either. So let's use average cost. That's the most common. Okay. Our GL account. We'll go ahead. So any sales of plumbing widgets will go to this account. The inventory asset will show up in this account. When we sell an item, the cost of that item will automatically go into this account. That's very good. Okay, if we already had some on hand, we could record it here, but we're not going to do any of that. Okay, I think this is probably all we need. Let's try to save it. Okay, there we go. We saved our inventory item. That was not bad. That was pretty nice. Again, very powerful software. I can't believe it actually allows you LIFO. That's a really complicated calculation. Okay, so now with our plumbing widgets set up, we want to record a purchase order of 150 plumbing widgets from the widgets guy. So let's go to our vendors and purchases. Let's do a purchase order now. Okay, the vendor ID is going to be our widgets guy. Now, can we create a new one? Yes, so we need to create a new vendor. I'm going to call him the widgets guy. Did it? Yeah, okay, we're okay. The widgets guy. Then the widgets guy again. Okay, it looks like expense account. This field is required, but if it goes to an inventory item, then it's not going to use this account. So we can just select it as some sort of product costs. We'll just select it to a generic product cost. Okay, so that should be it. Save. Okay, now we can select the widgets guy. Okay, so here is our purchase order information. We're ordering 150 plumbing widgets. Okay, this is going to be our inventory asset account. We're paying $10 a piece for a $1,500 order. Very good. So let's hit save. Okay, there we go. That was easy enough. Okay, on say a little later, let's receive 100 of those widgets for $10. Okay, so now let's go. Now we're going to enter bills. A new bill from the widgets guy, right? Because when we receive the inventory on a purchase order, it then becomes a bill. So the widgets guy, and now we're going to apply it to a purchase order. Let's see here. Well, let's just try to put it in here. You know what? No, I don't think this is right. I think we should be able to get over here. So maybe we're going into this the wrong way. So let's close this out. Save it. No. Let's view our current purchase orders. Okay, so here's our purchase order. Let's go ahead and open it. Here we go. Let's click this receive button. Now, one thing is going to be interesting. We ordered 150. We've only received 100. Will it allow us to do that? Okay, created this. Okay. Well, it created it but didn't do anything with it. Okay, well, let's try this. 100 plumbing widgets. Okay, for $1,000. Again, it seems like we would have to put it over here on apply to purchase order. But let's go ahead and save this and see what happens. Okay, have to enter an invoice number. Again, this is the number off of the vendor's invoice. Just make something up for us. Okay, now somewhere in here, so if we go back to this purchase order, does it show that a portion of it has been received? No. Yeah, so it basically, let's look at our inventory. And so I think what we've done now is recorded the units twice. So let's go to our inventory center here. So where is our... Okay, this is a sheet to help us do our physical inventory count. So let's search for our plumbing widgets. Yeah, so here it's got 100 on hand. That's the purchase, that's the invoice we've entered, plus 150 on purchase order. So we've double counted them. So we didn't do something right. So we need to figure out how to record the receipt on that purchase order. How about this? Receive inventory. Again, this is the same thing again. I don't understand how to get it over here. Okay, let me do a little research. So I've done some research, and honestly, I can't find the answer. I don't understand why it's not allowing me to receive this inventory from the widgets guy against a purchase order. So here again, this is my invoice. I should be able to come over here and click on apply to purchase order and apply it to those 150 units that are on purchase order, but for some reason I can't. So if we click through other bills that are already in this sample company, so no, let's not save what I did there. You can see again, so here is the widgets guy. So here are some the electric company. So Klein, this is a vendor that they've set up, and you again cannot click over to the purchase order, but some vendors, DeJulia, some vendors you can click over to the purchase order, and some vendors you can't. Okay, so we're going to change things up a little bit here, and we're just going to use one of the vendors that we're allowed to use purchase orders from. Again, I've looked through all the vendor details and setting up a vendor, and I'm not sure why you can allow some vendors, you can apply purchases to purchase orders with some vendors and not others. But I don't want to spend any more time on it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to delete this purchase order. Actually, you know what? Let's just go in and we're going to mark it as closed. So if you close the purchase order, that means that you're not going to receive it for whatever reason. So that will get rid of that purchase order. Okay, now I want to make sure the reason I'm going through and deleting these is I don't want our inventory numbers to be affected. Okay, and so let's delete this bill here. Well, if we can't delete it, let's just zero it out. Okay. Okay, so now if we go to our inventory, view our inventory items, plumbing widgets. Good. So now we're back to no quantity on hand. So let's do this again, but let's use one of the vendors that they've already have set up that seems to work with purchase orders. Okay, so let's create a new purchase order, and this is going to be from the Julia. Okay, and we're ordering 150 plumbing widgets. Okay, and there we go. So let's save that purchase order. Okay, now let's receive 100 of those. Now notice, as soon as I select Julia, it pops up and allows me to come over here. So there is something about how you set up vendors that I can't find. So anyway, so we've received Oh, now we can select the purchase order. Nope, that's not the one. That's not the one. Hmm. Well, why won't it? So we just did a purchase order and it's not showing up here. So the only two purchase orders it allows us to choose from is 10202 and 10300. If we come back here, let's not save it. Right here is our purchase order. Oh, maybe we have to give it a purchase order number. Okay, now it has a purchase order number. Oh, this is going to kill me if this was the problem the whole time. No clue that that would have been the problem. So let's hit receive to Julia 10500. Wow, that was the problem. So if we went back and gave it a purchase order number in the widgets guy, then we would have been able to do it. But nowhere does it require that purchase order number to be included. That needs to be a required field in your purchase order so that you can receive inventory on it. Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's horrible. Okay, so now we're receiving our 100 widgets. Okay, for $1,000. Hit save. Oh, must enter an invoice number. Okay, excellent. Here, let's go back into our purchase order. Very nice. Our purchase order, it shows we ordered 150. We've already received 100 of them. Let's go to our inventory. If we go to our inventory items, and here it shows we have 100 on hand and we have 50 on purchase order, meaning we have 150 available. Very good. Okay. Good. Nice history. Okay. Excellent. So let's see what we want to do next here. Okay, so now let's receive the remaining 50 widgets, but let's receive them at $11 per unit. Okay, so let's view these purchase orders. We're going to receive the remaining 50, but instead of the standard $10, we're receiving them for $11. Okay, so $550. We know we need an invoice number. Hit save. Okay, there we go. So now this purchase order is closed because the open no longer has a check mark. And let's go to our inventory items. And now we have 150 on hand. Does it tell us the total cost? Now it automatically changed our last unit cost, so that's nice. Anywhere in here will it tell us our average cost? Well, we could calculate it from there. What do we got for reports? I don't see any easy way to see what our cost per unit is. Okay. Um, okay, so now we're going to get into a little bit of the project accounting. So to set up a new project, I believe they call them jobs in Sage 50 Cloud. So if we go up to lists, jobs, and then jobs, let's create a new job. So the job ID, let's call it, it's going to be for our customer family bowling, and it's a bathroom renovation. So let's say FB for family bowling bathroom. Okay, and here we'll give it a little bit more of a description: family bowling bathroom. Okay, so you can put some general information in here, customizable fields. Okay, so you can do estimated expense and revenue. So if we use the phases, looks like we can break that down a little bit more. Okay. And actually, if we're going to do estimates, maybe we need to check this. Let's see what this phases says here. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't sound like what we want. Okay. So I think we've got this. Let's hit save. Okay, and so now if we close this, we now have a bathroom renovation project. Okay, so now we want to be able to charge our expenses to that project. So let's pay somebody for 40 hours of contract labor. So let's set that up as an item first. Sorry here. Okay, let's create a new item here for contract labor. This is a service. Okay. When we sell it to people, we're going to charge them $80 per hour. Okay. When we bill people, we are going to, or when we pay people, we're going to pay them $30 an hour. Oh, somehow this got changed. This needs to be a service. Okay, and there is our $30 an hour. Okay, there we go. That makes more sense. Now we don't have inventory information. Okay, so can we save this? Well, that's how we spell labor in the US, so it's trying to change it to the British spelling, I guess. Okay, so we set up the service item for contract labor. Now let's pay somebody contract labor for this project. So let's go to our banking, and let's just write a check. And who is going to be our, here we go. We're going to pay Gary Can we pay him with an item here? It doesn't look like we can pay him through an item. I want to use it through an item. Okay, then let's not write a check. Let's go through, we're going to have to go through our AP system instead. So let's enter a new bill to Gary. Okay, and 40 hours of contract labor. Okay. Now it didn't bring over a unit price. That should be $30 an hour. Okay, so we owe him $1,200. Now we need to assign it to a job. We need to have an invoice number. Okay, how do we assign this to a job? If we customize our layout here, can we include a job field? I'm not seeing anywhere to include a job field. So when we were writing checks, we could do a job field. Okay, well, let's go ahead and save this and see if when we write the check we can assign it to a job. Okay, now let's pay the bill. This was the bill we just created, so we're going to pay it. Okay. But I'm not seeing how to apply it to the job. Well, let's go ahead and save it. Now here we have a job field. And there's an item field. Okay, so we need to do this differently. Okay, so instead of entering and paying a bill, we just do the pay bills directly. So pay bill, Gary. Now we don't want to apply it to a bill because we don't have a job code here. So instead I'm going to do apply to expenses, and we're going to pay him for 40 hours of contract labor. $30 an hour. And here we can specify our job, which is the bathroom. Okay, there we go. Save that. Okay, there we go. Okay, so now we want to pay a $200 permit fee that we want to be able to pass through to the customer. I have not seen anything in here that will allow that. But let's go look at our job now. Okay. Good. So yeah, so that's the $1,200 we paid. Okay, so that's good. I saw something else up here in reports. Unbilled job expense. Yeah, here we go. So this is the $1,200 assigned to the job that we haven't billed yet. So we will get to that in next chapter when we go to start billing clients. Okay. Good. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and fill out our rubric now. Okay, so create an inventory item. That was we were able to do that. We recorded a purchase order. Yes, convert that purchase order to a bill. That was very difficult, but remember what we needed was the purchase order number. View inventory available. Yes, view inventory on purchase order to total cost of inventory on hand. That is where we had some difficulty. I think we're going to you have to review a report in order to see that. That doesn't show up right in the inventory information, so I'm only going to give them a half a point for that. Total units of inventory on hand, you can view that. We were able to create a project. Can you specify a vendor as an independent contractor? I do believe you can do that. So let's look at our vendors real quick. Let's just open one of them. Yeah, so right here you could specify them as an independent contractor, so it tracks them for 1099 purposes, so that's excellent. Create a service item for that contract labor. We were able to do that. We set the default cost and the default sales price for the service item. We were able to pay using that service item. It took us a little bit of trial and error, but you do it as a bill payment, but you don't create the bill first. By designating a project, we were able to designate it as billable to a customer. So I think if you're going to bill something to a customer, it's got to go through a project. Okay, view expenses incurred but not yet billed. That's what we did just a second ago in our project tab by running that report. Okay, and now just kind of overall, can we view a list of our unpaid bills? And I think we can do that pretty easily here in the vendor section. Let's see here. View and edit. Oh, we want to view and edit unpaid. Okay, so here's all of our unpaid bills. Well, so they have a status here of unpaid. Okay, that'll work. View the list of vendors. We can do that easily in the vendor center. Unpaid bills summarized by vendor. Pretty sure we can do that. You probably get your list of vendors. Actually, right here it gives us each vendor and their list. If we click on the vendor ID, I bet it gives us a detailed list. here's our vendor ledgers. Let's look at this. This should give us, here we go, by vendor, invoices by vendor. Okay, there we go. List of transactions by vendor. Yes, that vendor ledger will give us that. Can we record the e-payment of a bill? Yes, so if we, let's just find an open bill. Here's an open bill. Can we pay this electronically? Basically meaning we just don't want to show a check number. I figured there would be a way to go to the pay from here, but I don't see it. Okay, well, let's just close that. Let's go to pay bills. So let's pay the bill to Julia, and we can find that bill we want to pay. I think it was like $1,000. Okay, we want to pay that bill. We could specify what account it comes out of, and here we can just say that it's an electronic funds transfer. Payment method, and we'll keep it with check, should be fine, and hit save. Good. Okay. Can we print a check from the program? Sure. So let's just pay another one of Julia's outstanding bills. Let's pay this one. Let's give it a check number. So look in your printer, whatever that check number is, you want to put it there. Okay, payment method, and then let's print our check. Okay, there we go. Easy enough to print checks. Okay, now let's get into something a little bit more complicated again. So now we're going to want to record a credit from a vendor. So let's return one plumbing widgets to the widgets guy for an $11 refund. Okay, so let's do the vendor and purchases. Here we go, credits and returns. That looks promising. A new credit, vendor credit memo. This is the, actually, yeah, we ended up, instead of the widgets guy, we ended up purchasing them from Julia. Okay. So let's select the invoice. I think it was this one. Nope. I think it was this one. Okay, there we go. There was, we purchased 50 plumbing widgets for $11, and now we are returning one of them. Okay, so we're getting an $11 credit. Let's save that. You must enter a credit memo. Okay. Okay, there we go. So let's see if that did what we expect it to. So let's look at our inventory items. Now we should have one less And we do. Right now we only have 149 because we returned one. That's great. Now let's go to our vendor. Let's see here. If we scroll down, do we get DeJulia here? Yeah, right here. History. Last invoice amount of a negative $11. Let's maximize the screen. On January 5th, June 5th. Okay, it doesn't show up there, but it does show up here. Okay, so it does look like we have our credit in there. Okay. Now, let's buy 10 more plumbing widgets, and let's see if we can apply that credit towards those plumbing widgets. Okay, so I'm going to do a bill directly without a purchase order to Julia. Actually, no, let's not do a bill. Let's make this a payment. And see if we can use our credit. To Julia. Okay, we are going to do a separate invoice here for 10 plumbing widgets. $11 a piece, 110. Okay. Good. Now when we go to pay this, is it going to apply our credit memo? No, it did not. So here's our check. It did not apply, so it created a check without applying the vendor credit. So I'm sure there's probably a way to manipulate it to apply that vendor credit, but I want that to be automatic. So I'm not going to give it points for that. Actually, you know what? Let's try it the other way and see if it does it automatically that way. We'll give it another shot here. Let's go to Enter Bills, New Bill, to Julia, invoice, do something we can remember, like 60,000. Apply. Okay, so we want to purchase 10 plumbing widgets. Okay. Now, is there a way to apply a credit or something here? Because it does have other payments and credits. Okay, I think that's something we do later. Okay, so let's save this. Now, let's go, what do we have choice here? Maybe we go in here and apply it. Okay, this shows that it's already being applied. This will give us detail of what's happening here. Just because we had an outstanding balance with them, it automatically applied it. Possibly. possibly to the oldest one. So let's close out here. Let's look at our unpaid bills. Yeah, this partially paid, notice it's $11 short of an even number. I'm guessing this is where our $11 went. So our $11 credit right here, our $11 credit automatically got applied to the oldest invoice. Not a big fan of that. I would rather be able to decide what invoice I want it applied to. So I'm going to give it half a point. I like the flexibility most other programs give you of choosing where to apply it. Okay, so we were able to issue the credit memo easy enough. It adjusted our inventory. Okay, now let's see if we can short pay an invoice. This is our last task here. So let's find some unpaid bills here. Let's just use the Julia again. Actually, let's go into pay bills. So we want to pay a bill to Julia. Let's just say we want to pay this bill, but we want to short pay it. So instead of paying the full amount, we want to only pay $1,000. Okay, probably need a check number. Save it. Good, no problem. So yes, we can short pay a bill. Now if we go back to our bills, we should be able to see it. Actually, it looks like that may have been an older bill. It's not showing up here, but that's fine. So we've paid only a portion of the bill. We've short paid it. Okay. So the last thing I need to assign to this is a subjective ease of use. This is incredibly hard to use. Again, if you're an accounting professional, you can learn it, and perhaps it'll be very quick. But this is not for the average business owner, which is what we're looking for at Fit Small Business with small business accounting software. So I'm going to give it an ease of use of 1 out of 10. Great, and that is Chapter 2 of the Fit Small Business case study.